up, guys? It's Nick Fleury here. This week at the Punch Button, we decided to review Perks of Being a Wallflower. What it's about is this kid who's a freshman, and he's trying to survive his freshman year. And he's very troubled, and he's trying to find himself after losing so much. The movies are very touching movies. It's really great. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it. It's not that long of a movie, but if you're going to watch it, it's very emotionally draining, so prepare yourself for it. Highly recommend it, and this has been Nick Fleury signing off.
Hey guys, the Chief Ash here today to just give you a little bit on Perks of Being a Wallflower. Today was the first time I ever saw the film. It is quite the touchy-feely film, but in like a decent way. It's not like a rom-com or anything, but it's one of those, it's very easy for people of my generation, our generation, generations around us to relate to, because everyone in our time period, our generation, has experienced some form of like really sad occurrences. We've all been affected by the things that are touched upon in this movie, and it really hits you here. You really feel for the characters. The characters are well developed. It is quite the watch. It's pretty short. I think it's hour 42 minutes run time, so it's just slightly over feature length. It's definitely worth the watch. If you haven't seen it in a while, check it out. It is a very well done movie. The acting for the most part is really good. So yes, you want a movie that'll just touch you in the heart, in good ways and bad ways, just well written all around. Check out Perks of Being a Wallflower. This has been the Chief Ash, and keep watching.
Here at the Comedy Button, enjoy big fighting robots and big explosions and superheroes doing cool things as much as anybody else. But if you guys have watched just a movie that at its core just kind of made you happy, just made you happy that it exists because it just touches on something so emotionally core within all of us that it just makes sense. It's kind of Perks of Being a Wallflower. Perks of Being a Wallflower is kind of the next iteration of that young high schooler kind of coming of age tale, but it does it in such a good way. It does it in such a way that is really honest to who those characters are, and really makes you feel like they are real people that you could know. Perks of Being a Wallflower was a book written by Stephen Chbosky that was later adapted into a movie by Stephen Chbosky. Another awesome example of a writer taking control of his own movie. Perks of Being a Wallflower came out in 2012, kind of the same year that stuff like Civil Alliance Playbook, Django Unchained, and Les Mis came out, but it's definitely worth watching. It's a movie that it got overshadowed, I think, and it's kind of funny because it got overshadowed when the whole movie is about people who don't fit in with kind of the main clique and kind of find their own path and find their own group. And that's kind of, just funny. But in a lot of ways, I mean, Perks of Being a Wallflower is a story about people trying to find a place to fit in. Most importantly, or I guess mainly talking about Charlie. Charlie's a young boy with a lot of kind of issues. He struggles with anxiety and depression. And you don't really get the full story of why that is, or just to the extent that this kind of really have had such an impact on his life. But as the movie goes on, you kind of get to figure that out, and you get to see like what happened to Charlie when he was young that led to these kind of problems he's facing with now. Now, when Charlie starts his first day in high school, he's nervous, intimidated, because it's just a crowd that he doesn't really fully understand. He doesn't fully fit in with. But then he meets Sam and Patrick. Sam and Patrick are, brother and sister by their parents' marriage, and they are kind of they're everyone's best friend in a way. And Charlie finds real comfort and real, belonging with them and this group of friends. These people who hang out and dress up like Rocky Horror Picture Show and go and listen to Smith's records. Like, these are cool people, and people that a lot of us probably were friends with or grew up around. I mean, this is kind of the clique that I was in. I know probably the same clique that all of us at the Punch Button were in. That kind of, just flew their freak flag and enjoyed artsy stuff and geeky stuff and just enjoyed being who they were. And I think that's really what this movie is about. It's just being honest to yourself and just being honest to who you are. Now, it has issues, definitely. I think Emma Watson as a actress, while awesome, I mean, she's a great actress and does really well in this role, but her almost breaking in a British accent every 30 seconds and just her being who she was, it kind of threw me out of the experience a little bit. But that aside, this movie still has a lot going for it, even besides my weird, stupid personal issues with it. Now, The only other really big complaint I would lobby against it is what even for all the things it does that are awesome about escaping tropes and making really, really well-rounded characters, it still falls in a trope category once in a while. There's one part kind of in the middle, especially where Charlie starts dating this girl, and it is, I think, really the only big pitfall of the movie, because it's really where the movie loses its kind of identity for a second. It's not about like these really, really well-rounded characters. It's about a thing that happens to high schoolers when they first start dating someone. So that wasn't my favorite. But overall, this movie's really, really, really good. I would even call it, in many ways, like a masterpiece. I would put this in some of the film greats, and that is definitely a hyperbolic statement, but I mean, I think it deserves it, and if it'll get you to watch it, then definitely. But it's a movie that is, at its core, about a writer who can really just see things for what they are and kind of view the world and really just understand it in a way that not a lot of people get to do that. Charlie, obviously, that was something that it's very obvious Stephen Chbosky does that when he's writing, when he writes the book. He's writing these characters in a way that a lot of people just don't look at people. People are so focused on what they're going to say next or how they're reacting to the situation. A lot of people don't just take a step back and just see the situation for what it is. And in many ways, that's what this story is about. This is a story about finding a place to fit in and just, accepting people for who they are and just seeing people and seeing the things we do to each other and for each other out of love and hate and anger and frustration and all those complicated emotions that get all jumbled up and make high school such a bitch for everyone going through it. But it also is a movie that kind of provides you with hope. It's that whether you're going through it at that moment or whether you're out of it and looking back on it, it's kind of the thing that's growing up is great. There's a lot of beautiful things about growing up, and we all have, many years to be old and have responsibilities and deal with, stupid adult stuff. But most importantly, there's just that precious small amount of time really early in our life where we get to just be just young and just stupid and just do dumb, reckless, crazy shit. And this movie really revels in that fact. The fact that these characters are just, they're dealing with adult issues and they're dealing with big problems, but at the same time, they're just really enjoying being kids. And I think that's something we don't get a lot in movies, enough in movies anyway. You get kind of these stupid American Pie-like movies that double down on weird humor, or you get stuff that tries to get really big philosophical and really tries to make a big point. And this movie does that. This movie makes a point and says a lot without having to resort to that. It never comes across as pretentious. This movie is, I don't know, I guess accessible is the best way to say it. It's a movie that anyone can get into. Hold on one sec. My bad. Fix that shit in post. Thank you, Austin. Alright. One sec. God damn it. Cool. Alright. Thank you, Austin. Please don't leave that in. Because I don't want to look like an idiot coughing and spreading out water. Anyway. 3, 2, 1, action. This is a movie that, I don't know, it speaks to me on so many levels, and I'm sure it speaks to many of us here at the Comedy Button, and it speaks to a lot of you, and that's what's cool about it. And even though it might not have the bells and whistles a lot of other movies have, it has what I think is the most important part of storytelling, the characters and the heart. And it does something that many movie adaptations of books don't do. It captures the heart of the story and the heart of these characters. And even if you're watching the movie or reading the book, you're still going to have that same feeling. You're not going to... It doesn't feel like two different disjointed pieces of media. It feels like one whole that however you choose to experience it, you're going to get the same wonderful experience. And I think that's awesome. And I wish that more movies and books and video games and whatnot, I wish they did that when they cross mediums, because that's why you cross mediums. You go, okay, let's take this awesome story that for everyone who doesn't read books, now they get to see that story because everyone watches movies. Or this awesome video game story that not everyone plays video games, so let's make a movie out of it so that a lot more people can enjoy it. Obviously, as you can see, pretty much everyone watches movies. So, I guess we should not see movie to books or movie to games. Anyway, whatever. The point is, this movie does it right. It does an adaptation well, and whether it's because the original writer is the director, or whether it's because it just is that kind of story that works on both mediums. I don't know. I can't really place my finger on why that works so well, but it just does. And I think it's just one of those experiences you have to see. It's definitely in my upper echelon of favorite movies. It jumped right up there the minute I saw it. It just spoke to me. On something, it spoke to me in a way that a lot of movies don't do. And also it's a kick-ass soundtrack, which I always appreciate in a movie. When you hear stuff like The Smiths and David Bowie, that's always going to make a good movie as well. First being Wallflower, I don't want to go too much into the story. I don't really even want to talk about the story. Like, don't know anything about it. Just go in and watch it. Just go rent it, go pick it up, go buy it, do whatever you have to do. Just sit down for an evening and watch it. Because it's one of those movies that I guarantee by the end of it, you're going to be smiling. You can't help but smile. It's something that is, I mean, it's about growing up and being young. And that's something that we've all done or are doing at this time. And something that it's just so core to who we are, what it means to be human. So I think go watch Perks of Being a Wallflower, not because it's a good movie, and not because we hit the punch button recommending it a good movie to you, but because we're recommending a good life experience, and a good life experience is watching Perks of Being a Wallflower. Alright guys, this has been Subparlobster. I really enjoyed doing this review, and it's one of those movies that is one of my personal favorites, so it's been cool being able to talk about it. Obviously I didn't get super into the plot details, or really even film review things. I'm sure Chief and Roger, or Chief and Nick Fleury will do all of that for me, and I'm not too worried about that. But what I really want to talk about is just why this movie is amazing, is because it is, as you just heard, all about the emotions. And I think sometimes we get bogged down in the technical details of reviews or in how we talk about movies. And when most importantly, the things people listen to the most when they talk about movies is just, is it good? And I'm here to tell you, it is awesome. Alright guys, this has been Subparlobster, and I'll see you later.
Hey guys, Chief Ash here telling you if you like what you saw, let us know. Drop a comment down below, drop a suggestion so we know what to make later. Like, subscribe, message us suggestions, or just that you appreciated what we put up, or whatever you want. We'll read it. Thank you, and keep watching.